deze kleine persvergadering, waarbij wij u graag meer vertellen over een experiment dat we samen met het bedrijf Ambius hebben uitgevoerd een aantal maanden terug. En die geleid hebben tot een aantal concrete beslissingen over hoe wij omgaan met geur in onze ziekenhuizen. Geur als een factor om mensen, patiënten en bezoekers eigenlijk in een leuke atmosfeer binnen te brengen, waarin zij in een positieve gemoedsgesteldheid verkeren om uit te kijken naar een bezoek bij een zieke, maar ook om als patiënt in een rustigere omgeving naar een onderzoek toe uit te kijken. Ik stel u graag heel kort voor diegenen die ons minder goed kennen even ZNA voor. Onder ons logo prijkt de slogan wij zorgen voor u. Wij stellen u graag wij even voor en we stellen u ook graag u, wie dat dan wel is. Wel, wij vandaag, dat zijn 3 algemene ziekenhuizen. We zijn de grootste gezondheidsorganisatie van België. We zijn tot stand gekomen in 2004 door de verzelfstandiging van de toenmalige OCB-ziekenhuizen van Antwerpen die zwaar verlieslatend waren. In die groep zitten 3 algemene ziekenhuizen en 6 gespecialiseerde ziekenhuizen. De algemene ziekenhuizen zijn gelegen in het noorden, het centrum en het zuiden van de stad. Jan Balfijn, respectievelijk Stuivenberg, Sint-Erasmus en ZNA Middelheim ten zuiden van de stad. Gespecialiseerde ziekenhuizen zijn ziekenhuizen die zich richten op 1 specifieke doelgroep. Dat zijn bijvoorbeeld het ZNA Koningin Paula Kinderziekenhuis voor kinderen. We hebben 2 ziekenhuizen die zich richten op psychiatrische patiënten. Een ziekenhuis dat zich richt op dementie, patiënten met dementie. En dan nog 2 ziekenhuizen die zich richten op geriatrie en revalidatie. Wij zijn de grootste gezondheidsorganisatie in termen van bedden. Allemaal samen vertegenwoordigen wij 2500 bedden. Om u vergelijking te geven, het UZ Leuven heeft 1800 bedden en is de tweede grootste groep. Dat is goed voor 7000 personeelsleden, ongeveer 7000 patiënten per dag die zorg ontvangen. Dat het nu ambulant is, dan wel opgenomen in onze ziekenhuizen. En ongeveer 125.000 opnames, daadwerkelijke opnames per jaar, waarvan ongeveer de helft in ziekenhuis, in dagziekenhuis. En dat aantal stijgt elk jaar door de evoluties in de geneeskunde. En meer ingrepen kunnen dan ook ambulant gebeuren. Van waar komen die 7000 patiënten? Ja, het hoeft niet te verwonderen dat die hoofdzakelijk uit de regio Antwerpen komen. Maar onze ziekenhuizen hebben toch ook wel een breed bereik buiten de regio van Antwerpen. En dit zijn hier de Antwerpenaren die aan de kust zijn gaan wonen na hun pensioen, maar die dan toch nog altijd verkiezen om in de thuisstad in Antwerpen naar het ziekenhuis te komen. Hier ziet u de gemeentes waar we het meest vertegenwoordigd zijn. We hebben uiteraard een belangrijk marktaandeel in de regio Antwerpen. In de stad vertegenwoordigen wij ongeveer 44%. Schoten hebben het grootste marktaandeel met ruim 47%. We trekken patiënten aan uit 32 gemeentes en ook de grootste zorgverstrekker in de regio. Nogmaals, in bedden uitgedrukt is ZNA zo groot als alle andere Antwerpse ziekenhuizen uit de brede regio bij elkaar. Dat zijn voor heel groot Antwerpen, en dan spreek ik tot echt het grote arrondissement. We spreken ongeveer over 5000 bedden, waarvan wij er 2500 bij ZNA tellen. Wij hebben een dubbele missie. We willen kwaliteit bieden en dit project is daar een heel klein stukje van. We hebben een leidinggevende positie in belangrijke domeinen in de geneeskunde, die ik hier niet allemaal voor u ga opsommen, maar u ziet ze daar opgelijst. Dat zijn de hele grote belangrijke domeinen van de medische zorg. Wij zijn ook toegankelijk, dat is de tweede pijler van onze missie. Wat bedoelen we daarmee? Onze zorg is overal vlakbij. Je kan basiszorg in elk deel van de stad krijgen. Je kan altijd om de hoek in een Antwerps ziekenhuis van ZNA voor een cardiogram bij wijze van spreken terecht. Maar heb je dan inderdaad een probleem met een hartklep, dan gaan we gespecialiseerde zorg aanbieden in een van de expertisecentra. En bijvoorbeeld voor het hart is dat het hartcentrum waarvoor Middelijn wijd en zijd bekend is. En wij zijn ook sociaal toegankelijk. Dat betekent dat we geen drempels inbouwen naar de financiële toegankelijkheid van onze organisatie, ook voor sociaal zwakkeren in onze maatschappij. En dat heeft natuurlijk alles te maken met ons verleden als OCMW-ziekenhuis en het feit dat het OCMW nog altijd een van onze aandeelhouders is. Dus wij, om dat te realiseren, boeken we eigenlijk constant vooruitgang daarin door constant overleg met sociale organisaties. En bij de laatste visitatie, dat is de doorlichting van het ziekenhuis, de overheid, werd ZNA genoemd als top in Vlaanderen wat toegankelijkheid betreft. Goed, dat was eigenlijk een hele korte toelichting bij ZNA. En dan geef ik nu heel graag het woord aan Greg Knight. Greg Knight is verbonden aan de UK-universiteit van Exeter en hij heeft het onderzoek begeleid, maar heeft ook veel onderzoek gepleegd naar de psychologische impact van omgevingen op mensen en uiteraard ook deel van de omgeving is een geurelement. I leave the floor to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, good morning. As with most Brits, I feel ashamed by my lack of language skills. I speak French very, very badly, and English just a little bit better, but not much better. So I apologise for that. So this is in English today. Just close this down. Open this one. And get this to start. Okay. Well, good morning. This morning we're going to look at a pilot study that we ran in this hospital, looking at the effect of smell, scent in the lobby area in Middelheim. What I want to show you is where PRISM, which is the organisation that I represent, came from. PRISM, and you'll see this logo throughout the presentation, began in the University of Exeter some 8 years ago. It stands, as you see, for psychological research into identity and space management. And we were lucky enough to start with a grant from the government by the Social and Economic Research Council. And also we have had some superb support from Ambius, who we've been working with now for 6 years. This morning we'll go through a little bit of background to the Middelheim study so you know how the ideas came about. We'll have a look at how scent has affected the space here. We'll want to have a look at the results that we had, and then maybe as well just discuss where we want to take this kind of work next. So, how do we start off? Because smells are new to us in PRISM in the University of Exeter, but we've been looking at the effects of space now for quite a long time. And what we started off doing is taking a lean space like this, we started in office space, and just enriching it. So we'd put pictures and plants around the place. Sometimes we'd let people develop their own space, we'd let them put pictures and plants around, and occasionally we'd let them develop their own space and then take the power away. But we're very interested in starting with a clean, lean space and then seeing if we can improve it. And when we look at offices, for example, starting with enriching process, we've managed to take a task that has taken people in an office condition 40 minutes and 30 seconds to complete. And by enriching the space, we've managed to help people improve their performance by 7 minutes. When we give people a say, some input into increasing their performance, they work 32% faster. And when you take that say away, when you override somebody's decision, we see that performance falls off again. And while people are working 32% faster, they are not making any more errors in the tasks that we give them. So we find in an office environment that if you enrich a space, people will work more productively. And when you give people a say over that space, then they will work more productively still, without any decrement, without any fall off in the quality of that performance. Now, this is important because you can look at a space. We've just finished a project in this space here. This, for example, are some accountants in London, one of the top 5 accountancy practices in the world. And this is the space they work in. And as you can see, it's very lean. This is the workspace. But it's also, although it doesn't seem very cheery, it's very expensive. They spent an awful lot of money developing this space. These are Herman Miller fittings, which is a very expensive organisation. They've been designed by top designers. But we thought, well, what would happen if we just enriched the space? So again, in this case, using plants, we had the best area, which we kept lean, and we measured performance in this lean area where it has all the best views overlooking the city, to an enriched space over here. And we found that just by putting plants into a space, productivity increased by 15%. Now, just to give you some idea, the value of those plants is about 10,000 euros per annum. And it increased productivity by €1 million per annum. So that's the kind of thing that we're looking to do. We tried the same kind of thing, as Nadine and I were talking about, in care homes as well. We've looked at giving older adults a say in care. And you can see here that we've let them choose their own pictures. And it's noticeable that that is the kind of thing that staff chose for older adults in care. These are the kind of pictures they chose for themselves, really quite different. Now, when you let older adults choose how they like to decorate their social space, you can see these are quite unorthodox pictures, not the kind of thing that you would have chosen for older adults. And you let them choose. What they do is they use their social space twice as much in studies, twice as much as older adults that don't have a say over how they use their social space. So we've looked at care, we've looked at offices, and we've looked at enrichment, but only from the point of view of flowers and pictures. What Middleheim gave us the opportunity to do was do the same kind of thing, but using smell. What happens, of course, when you come into a hospital is you smell a hospital. And if you read the literature, the smell of that hospital, just the smell of it, can cause people stress. So we thought, wouldn't it be interesting to take that smell away and give them a different smell, enrich the space, but not with plants and pictures, but enrich it this time with a scent. So then it's a case of, well, which scent do we use? This gentleman here is a chap called Professor Edzard Ernst. He is a professor of complementary medicine. Now, what Ernst does is he applies scientific tests to homeopathic stroke alternative remedies. So, for example, he has looked at things like ginseng, for example, the effect of ginseng. And he's found that you might as well take a Smartie as take ginseng. It has no medical value whatsoever. Okay? And he tried the same kind of thing, looking at smells. And if you read the literature, you have things that say that roses help you to relax. Smell of rose helps you relax. When you test it, it has no effect at all. Sandalwood is meant to be a sensual, arousing kind of a smell. Mint is meant to be an invigorating smell. Lavender is meant to help you relax. Now, when Ernst tested lavender, he found that it did help you relax. So we're moving on from the placebo effect, where if you take something you believe it to work, it will have an effect, to this, which has an effect beyond placebo. The scent of lavender does seem to help people relax. So when we came to enrich the smell in Middleheim Hospital, we thought we would use lavender as a really good scent to see if it had a quantifiable, measurable effect. So when we did that, we hypothesised if we put the smell of lavender into the air, so people that walk into the lobby will smell lavender and smell of hospitals, we thought they'd be happier, They would think better, they would identify better with the hospital. They'd feel more comfortable in the space in that hospital. And crucially, they'd feel better about the treatment they were receiving from the hospital. And that from just putting lavender in the air. But you may also remember that when we were looking at offices and care homes, we let people choose what pictures and plants they want. So we wanted to do something similar to that in the lobby. So we set up some scent booths, as you'd see, and we let people choose or have a say over what scent they were smelling. And we said when they do that, they'll be happier, they'll identify more, they'll feel even happier about their treatment when we do that. So, what did we do? Well, we set up a condition across 3 days. On the first day, people came in and they just were confronted with the standard hospital environment. And we asked them via questionnaire how they felt, what the treatment was like, what they thought about the hospital generally. We made no allusion at all to the smell in the hospital. And Ingrid here and a colleague at the time, Veronique Van Oslo, who helped set this up, ran this experiment for us. As you gathered, my Flemish is fairly poor. So we needed Flemish speakers. Ingrid and Veronique did this for us. On the second day, we ran exactly the same questionnaire, and again, no allusion made to the smell of the hospital, but we scented the air with lavender. So the same thing exactly, no comment on the smell, but we put lavender in the air. On the third day, we set up little smell booths, as this one here, and you see Ingrid looking fantastic in her white coat. And people would walk up to a smell booth, they would take a scent, one of 4, and they would put their nose into the booth, which would concentrate the smell it, and give us their opinion on the smell. And then we'd go back and just ask them the questionnaire that they'd been asked from the first place. And well, what did we find? Well, these are fairly small. I'm trying to make these a little larger, but for those people that know their statistics, these are the results that we got in statistical form. You will see that we have, in these portions here, this little block here, we have measurements out of 7. So, for example, how comfortable do you feel in this space? A score of 1 means that you feel incredibly uncomfortable. 7 means you feel fantastically comfortable. 4 is a midpoint score. So you can see the scores going down in the basic hospital condition here. And as soon as we put lavender in the air, we improve the scores significantly. So, for example, if you look at how well people identify with the hospital, how healthy they feel in the space, you're going from a score of sort of midpointish, where they're feeling okay, to feeling good, just by putting lavender in the air. And when we let people smell, we also get some significant changes in how people feel about the hospital and about how healthy they feel. Now we've put that here into statistical terms, and you can see when we put it into statistical terms, I can't speak English now, never mind anything else, you get some very significant improvements in how comfortable people feel, how they identify with the hospital, how they identify with fellow patients, how well they feel, and how satisfied they feel with their treatment. Some really large numbers there. To say that it's the same treatment, don't forget, just putting lavender in the air saw people say that they felt 19% better in terms of their own personal well-being. And when we when we made that smell active, you can see they also identification of the hospital went up, and their well-being went up by 26%. The point of doing this scientifically and statistically is that we know what numbers are significant and which aren't. So, for example, you see increases here and here, but those you'll notice are in black and not red, because they may just be some kind of statistical noise. By doing this as scientifically as we can see which numbers start to mean things. We also found some interesting effects in terms of gender. And it's noticeable here, for example, these are just statistically significant figures, that males identified more strongly with the hospital and with their fellow patients than females. We also found some interesting results for age. And if you look across the top in terms of how comfortable people feel, how they identified with the hospital patients and satisfaction, the younger age group were generally far less satisfied than the older age group of middle. Now we don't know why this is. This may be, for example, the hospitals are geared maybe towards an older age group. We don't know. Maybe that the younger age group is more demanding. But we found these statistics too. But the most striking difference, whether it's for age, whether it's for gender, whether it's for being a patient or a visitor, across all of the boundaries, was for putting the smell into the air. The results are really quite significant. Now, I need to point out at this stage that this was a pilot study. It was 1 day in each condition. Scientifically, we would love to go back and do this for longer, see what the effects are. I was talking to a friend, for example, about this, somebody who's on dialysis. And he says he goes to have his dialysis, he goes to have his kidneys looked at, he says, and the smell in there can sometimes be horrendous. And he said to do this kind of thing in a dialysis unit would be fascinating. But we'd like to do it over time, not just one quick snapshot, but to do it over, let's say, a week, 2 weeks, see what differences we can get over time, see whether we've just got a quick burnt implant, or whether we've got something that really does make a difference. So what we have here then is we have something where we know that smell is making a difference. We would like to address the potential confounds in the experiment though. We mentioned lavender. We put lavender in the air because we thought it has the best chance of getting an effect. Now to be fair, we don't know whether lavender is having that effect because of its smell or because of potential compound chemical properties that do make a difference. It'd be quite nice to put lavender in the air and maybe just compare it with patchouli or something and just see if there's a difference in terms of psychological and physiological difference. So there are certain things we'd like to play with. We'd like, as I say here, to build a longitudinal study. And we'd also like to try different areas, move from the lobby to other spaces and see if we can make a difference there. But what we have found, though, is that putting a smell into a hospital environment seems to make quite a large difference. It's a very simple, and I believe, I'm sure I'm telling you otherwise, a relatively inexpensive thing to do. And if something so simple and so inexpensive could improve well-being by 19 to 26%, then it's probably worth doing. If we could find a drug that improved well-being by 19 to 26%, I think it might create quite a stir. What we've got is a difference that is in everybody, is in all of us. Just to go in and have a different scent in the air to enrich this with it. So that was a quick overview of what we've done. If anybody's got any questions or if I didn't explain something well enough, then please say it about it. I'll tell you now. Is that okay for you? Any questions? Yes?
Did I see it that we had 61 persons up here?
No, we did it over 3 days. So if you go back, we had a number of people across the 3 days. So we had 75 people on the first day, 61 people on the second day, 37 on the third day. The third day took longer to complete because we had people going into the booths to smell. So they had to do the smell and then complete the questionnaire. So it was a longer thing to do. So overall, we had, what's that, 173 people.
That's a really small number.
Pardon?
Isn't that a really small number?
It's not a small number for what we did. So what we want to try and do is get this scientifically accurate. Okay? And it is a pilot study. We'd like to do more people. But to get that statistically significant, we needed up to 18. And so that's to start to look for statistical significance. So we wanted to go well beyond that, and we wanted a sample size of at least 100. And thanks to Ingrid, Veronique, and other people that came to help, we managed to achieve that goal of 100 quite easily. But you're right, when we come to the next study, we'd like it to be larger. But as a sample size, it's quite telling.